Hey everybody, it's Mike and welcome to Chip Damage and thank you for joining me today. So, if you've watched any of my other videos, you may have discerned that I'm a pretty big Square Enix fan, and not just for Final Fantasy. I love most of their series. Kingdom Hearts, Parasite Eve, Drakengard, NieR, among some myriad of others. I love this company, and sure, every now and then you get a game thrown out like The Quiet Man or Left Alive, but loving something means loving its faults too, you know? One fault that Square Enix does not have, though, is their ability to go above and beyond with collector's editions and limited editions. Yeah, Square throughout the years has really been pretty fantastic about releasing some type of bonus edition with most of their big releases. And since I'm a sucker for this company, I end up getting most of them. So I was recently given the idea to do a video on all these editions that I've been able to gather throughout the years. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. All the rare, weird, and expensive collector's editions that I've been able to gather in my collection. And as a note before we begin, as I got this idea and dug into my vault of games to dig all of these out, I started to realize how many of these I had over the years and how much physical raw space they were taking up in my collection. And all of the thought just came in my head, like, Square Enix really goes over the top with some of these. Kind of extra, but hey, I guess it works on suckers like me. So yeah, that's what we'll be talking about today. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, Kingdom Hearts fan, or a Square Enix fan in general, you may have seen some of these, but some of these are pretty esoteric, so hopefully you'll see something new. So before I begin, I just want to say that if you enjoy this, I'm assuming you are a Final Fantasy or Square Enix fan, but if you're not, I did a whole video on my thoughts on the Final Fantasy series and which are the best games to jump into if you're new, so please check that out, as well as my videos on rare, weird, and expensive games that I go through console by console. But without any further ado, let's jump into some of these awesome, magnificent weirdos, shall we? And let's start with the big one, and that would be the most recently released Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're going to start with the deluxe edition, as you see here. So, what the deluxe edition was it was the base version of the game, bundled with a few nice extras. So, of course, you have the fantastic regular case of the game. I love that they just did an homage to the original release. But the bonuses were pretty cool. They came with an optional tin case with Sephiroth on the cover, if you can see that there. And, of course, the logo on the back. So, you know, it's one of those steel books you can keep on the shelf if you want to, display this a little bit more nicely in the plastic case. It also came with a mini soundtrack. And Final Fantasy VII has my favorite music of all time in games. So I was a little disappointed to see that this wasn't a bigger soundtrack. It was just 12 songs. I mean, they want you to go buy, like, the giant vinyl or CD collection on the website. So that's kind of a shame. But, hey, you get some music out of it. It also came with a nice little art book, which I'm afraid might have spoilers in it, so I'm not going to show it to the camera. I'm going to say that about most of the art books in the collections we're about to go through, but yeah, it came with that. And it came nicely bundled all in this shiny box. However, this is a good edition. This was the deluxe edition, but there was one other edition that you may see standing on the table next to me, and that was the edition that came with the PlayArts Kai Cloud Strife bike. Let me get the box up for this. Yeah. So this is Final Fantasy VII. This is one of my favorite games. So I had to go above and beyond and get this ridiculous edition, the first class edition, as it was called, on the Square Enix website. These was only sold on the Square Enix website, as far as I know, in North America. This was a lot of money. I believe this was $330 US. And I know, that's insane. That's basically a whole console. But this is like a once-in-a-generation thing for me. I mean, maybe not with all the collector's editions you're about to see, but Final Fantasy VII is Final Fantasy VII. I need it. Came with this beautiful figure. This figure was later released to the public, but you were able to get it early if you got it with the first class edition. I love this. Cloud's my boy, and I needed something of that. Came with the deluxe edition and this beautiful big black box with it. And when this was on my doorstep, this just blew me away. I love this. I keep this on display. And yeah, FF7 Remake. I'm probably going to get if they make a collector's edition of the PS5 version that's coming out later this year, I'm probably going to get it too. But I'm going to keep Cloud right here for now as we go through the rest of these. So jumping to another recent Final Fantasy title, of course, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 15. What you're seeing here is just the Day 1 edition, which was simply bundled with some extra DLC, the Masamune sword in the game, which you can get later on anyway. Not too much special with the Day 1 edition, but there was a deluxe edition as well, which came in this very lovely steelbook with artwork by Yoshitaka Amano on it. And it came with few bonus postcards from the series, as well as like a thank you letter from the director, which I really love, signed by the cast and crew on the inside. Like, I really like that little touch. But most importantly, this came with the Kingsglaive prequel movie to Final Fantasy 15. If you don't know, one of my only gripes with Final Fantasy 15 is that the story is great, but to fully understand what's going on, you need to watch the prequel CG movie Kingsglaive. Like, you really need to watch this movie to understand the full scope of the plot. And it was sold separately prior to launch, but at launch it only came with the deluxe edition. I really think this movie should have came with every version of the game, and maybe just been in the game, or maybe not put such critical information in a separate CG movie. Regardless, this was the edition, the deluxe edition that came with Kingsglaive in this nice steelbook. But yet again, I'm a chump, I'm a sucker, and I wanted to be extra, and Square Enix was right there for me when I wanted to do such, and released this bad boy. It's heavy. The SquareEnix.com exclusive Final Fantasy 15 Ultimate Edition with this beautiful shiny box. I hope you can see that. Just kind of has a regal reflectiveness, so I hope that's coming through. This is very heavy. I will not open this. This is one of the few collector's editions that I do not open because it is pretty valuable. This was, I believe, around $200 at launch. This comes with a PlayArts Kai of Noctis with an exclusive weapon that does not come with the regular release of this figure. That was sold only in this collector's edition. It also came with a gigantic hardcover art book as well as the Kingsglaive movie, as with the regular deluxe edition. This is a gem in the collection. These go for a lot now. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, you know, stuff like this is like part and parcel. Like, these are beautiful collector's editions. I really wanted this. That is the Final Fantasy 15 Ultimate Collector's Edition. And yet again, this is very heavy, so forgive me as I put that over here. All right. Sticking with Final Fantasy, but going backwards in time, we're going to be looking at one of the most beloved entries in the series, and just its ridiculous number of releases. We're looking at the beloved Final Fantasy X. The first one we're going to be looking at is a quickie. That is its release, its double release with its sequel X-2 on the PlayStation Vita. The only thing, collector's edition of this, is that the first print of this game came with these beautiful little art cards, which I love. They're small. I just love cute things like this. So yeah, if you want to get the Vita version, you know, try to hunt down the one with these nice little art cards. Like, they're pretty, you know, who knows? You can go on your wall somewhere, maybe on the wall at your office if you work in a cubicle. But moving on to its console Big Brothers, we're going to be looking at the PlayStation 3 version of the game. That's Final Fantasy X-2, the limited 10 and X-2 limited edition released on PlayStation 3, which has a small art book included with it if you pick this up at launch. However, if you got this on the website, you could get this big boy, which is essentially the same thing, but the art book is bigger. So I wanted it because it's bigger. And, you know, I'm a fool. It has the lovely art from X-2 and 10 on the outside of the art book. I'm not going to flip through it, but you could, too much, but you could see, okay, that's not a spoiler. You can see it has some big, nice pictures of the scenery and art, and hopefully not spoilers that I'll show off. But right in the back there, you can see it comes with the game and the soundtrack. So yeah, there are two versions. Two special edition versions of Final Fantasy X X-2 collection on the PS3. There's the limited launch version, which you could get in stores at launch, obviously, and the collector's edition, which was only on SquareEnix.com. But I'm a sucker and I double dipped. I guess triple dipped if you count the Vita version. Actually, I guess quadruple dipped if you count the PlayStation 4 version of Final Fantasy X and X-2 collection. Yes, it came out again on the PlayStation 4, and I had to get it because, like I said, and I will continue to say, I'm a sucker. So, obviously, it came with the base game, and the other bonus, which I love this, is a calendar with artwork from the series illustrator Yoshitaka Amano. The calendar is from 2016, so it's a few years out of date. But hey, it's nice to have just for all this beautiful art. And I believe these were also only sold on SquareEnix.com. And whenever I see something that's exclusive on that website, I just snatch it up. Plus, I'll just keep buying Final Fantasy X. I think I have it on PlayStation 2, 3, 4, Vita. Probably going to make a PS5 version. I just keep buying it. It's Final Fantasy X. It deserves it. So let me put that away. And now we're moving on to another beloved, infamous, I like this series, Final Fantasy 13 series of games. So Final Fantasy 13 itself didn't have any special editions in North America, but its direct sequel, Final Fantasy 13-2 did. Don't hate on this game. It's pretty good. You know, it's a little silly and the characters are a little shallow, but I like this game. I had a lot of fun with the combat system. However, the main character, his name is Noel. That's Noel. I hate the way they say it. That's how you spell Noel, but regardless. What is this collector's edition? Well, as you remove the sleeve, it has a nice all-white box, and then you remove it. And it's a little hard to see, but it has some nice character artwork on the outside, some embroidered character artwork. And as you open it opens up into a book. I like how they do these. They kind of incorporate the art book into the casing of the game. Excuse me. And you see it has the game on that side, but when you flip all the way to the other side, it has a 4-disc soundtrack. I love that. Like, Final Fantasy, whether the gameplay itself of the game mentioned is good or bad, it's probably going to have good music. And they didn't cheap out with the soundtrack on 13 too. So yeah, this came with all the music from the game on 4 discs, which is pretty insane. And yeah, this is a nice collector's edition. I believe this was available in stores. It's a little harder to find now, but Final Fantasy 13 series isn't super popular, so you could probably hunt this down. Suggest you do. It's a nice looking set, isn't it? Look at that. And sticking with that series, we're looking at Lightning Returns, the third Final Fantasy 13 game. Final Fantasy 13-3. So, this was yet again another Square Enix.com exclusive. Excuse me. And what is in this one? Well, when you remove the slipcase, you see a lovely image of Lightning on the cover. Really like the way they kind of characterized her there. And as you lift it up, it comes with some nice goodies. Yet again, an art book with a lot of art, and I'll skip past any spoilers, don't you worry, of costumes of Lightning, because one of the big things in this game is the job system, or costume swapping, which changes Lightning's abilities. And this kind of has details of all of that, plus weapons and whatnot. Really cool stuff. One thing you got to say about this game is like they really went deep into the lore of Final Fantasy to provide those job class costumes. My favorite thing in this collector's edition, though, and I wish they did more stuff like this. I wish I was classy enough to wear this out in public, but I'm not, is a pocket watch. Yes, this came with a sterling silver pocket watch with Lightning's logo, her chest piece, on the cover. Yet again, it's a real working watch. This was a nice collector's edition, yet again, Square Enix.com exclusive. And whether you like the game or not, you got to say, this is a nice collector's edition. So yes, Final Fantasy Lightning Returns, or 13-3 as it should be called to be less confusing, because Lightning kind of returned in 13-2, but not really. Whatever, we're not going to get into that. We're going to just stick with the collector's edition, shall we? I'm running out of space over here. I'm going to have to balance these pretty carefully. Excuse me. Bear with me, thank you. All right, now we're going to another PS4 Final Fantasy game. That is Final Fantasy Type 0. Did anyone play this? I've yet to meet anyone who's actually played this. I started this game, I liked it, I just haven't gone through it yet, but man, like, I just don't know anyone who's actually played this game. What this is an HD remake from a Final Fantasy game that was on the PSP that never made it to North America. So a few years later, right before Final Fantasy 15, they decided to re-release this game on the PS4 and Xbox Ones with upgraded visuals and bells and whistles. And from what I'm to understand, it's a pretty solid game. It has a cool look to it. I just haven't had the time to go through it. It's mostly known as the game that came with the demo for Final Fantasy 15. Enough with the preamble. What's in the collector's edition? Well, it has a lovely golden steelbook. You don't see these too often, the golden steelbooks, with, of course, the game inside with a code for the episode Deuce Guy demo of FF15, as well as the soundtrack. So, you know, always want more Final Fantasy Square Enix music because it's usually excellent. And what else does it come with? It comes with a, this is kind of unique, not an art book, a manga. Yeah, the manga of Final Fantasy Type 0, or, by the way, as it was known, Agito or Agito 13. Yeah, I haven't gone through this yet. I haven't read it. I'm going to read this before I actually get to play the game, but you don't see too many pack-in manga. Also came with some bonus art cards with the summons from the series. And I gotta say, having not gone through this, these have some awesome looking summons. You see as, you know, your main ones there. They're in every Final Fantasy. You got Ifrit, Shiva, Bahamut. By the way, that's how I say the names of the summons. Every game says them a little different, but I say the main ones, Ifrit, Bahamut, Shiva. But yeah, these are real nice. I'm digging these. And I have to make sure I put these away correctly because I'm running out of space. It also comes with a, it's made to look like a high school yearbook because you play students in this. Art book as well, which is really nice. And yeah, that is the collector's edition. I believe this was also a Square Enix store exclusive for Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, formerly known as Final Fantasy Agito 13. What a mouthful. Okay, now we're moving away from Final Fantasy for at least the time being and going into Square's other biggest franchise, and that would be Kingdom Hearts, and this is going to be great. So, to begin, let's start with a portable Kingdom Hearts game, and that is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, or 3D. There was a collector's edition of this. This was sold in regular stores, I believe, in North America. So what's in the collector's edition of this? Mark of Mastery exam. That's a name for a collector's edition. No Ultimate, no. Mark of Mastery, I love that. So, got a nice case, by the way. Lovely little thing on the back that is denoting the Kingdom Hearts 10-year anniversary. Man, can you believe this came out in 2012? This game is almost 10 years old now. Regardless, this box is magnetic, which I really like. It kind of closes itself. Of course, it comes with the game, and it comes with some bonus art cards in a pouch, and it also comes with a 3DS holder case, which is really nice. I have an XL, so this won't fit. It also has some bonus art on the background of the box here. If I can remove that for a quick... I don't want to remove it, but it has some bonus artwork in the background of the holding material. So, yeah, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance 3D. By the way, if you haven't played that game, it's pretty good. You don't have to play it on the 3DS anymore either. It's been re-released on just about everything. So, check it out. Gotta love little Dream Eaters, little fat cat dog thing that they give you right in the beginning. But sticking with Kingdom Hearts, but moving to its console versions, and there are a lot of these, there were also a ton of limited and collector's editions. I'm excited to talk about these. So, before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, well before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, they wanted to make sure they can get all the fans caught up on the story because many of the side games, which are crucial to the main plot, were put onto portable devices. So they wanted to bring those all together into some nice collections on the most popular systems at the time, and one of those was the PS3 version of Kingdom Hearts 1.5. Yes, so what this is, it's the 3 of the earlier Kingdom Hearts games. Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 358/2 as a movie. Yes, a DS game remade into a movie, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the launch edition, the limited edition, which comes with the game in a art book style case, which is really nice. I love stuff like this. It also has concept artwork of Sora when he was like a lion monkey boy on the back. You don't see that too often. That wasn't released prior, I believe, and you get to see classic Sora on the cover. So this is just a nice little addition. That's actually kind of hard to find now. It's decently valuable considering its age, and this was very popular when it came out. And of course, that was not the only Kingdom Hearts release on the PS3. If there was a 1.5, there had to be a 2.5, and yes, there is. This is Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, and Recoded, another DS game as a movie, brought together as a console. And this came with a Disney pin, if you can see there on the back. This, like many of these future releases, come with like these collectible Disney pins that no one cared about. But yes, this was another SquareEnix.com release, I believe, at the time in North America. Nice little set, great cover art. But we're not stopping there. Those were on the PS3, and I guess they took a little longer on Kingdom Hearts 3 than they expected because they re-released all those games in one bundle on the PlayStation 4 as Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 got re-released on the PS4. Came with a bonus pin, like I said, like with the prior release. And of course, it came with the base game, but which I'll show here. That's the regular version of the game right there. Just kind of the 2 collector's editions covers put together, but I wanted this nice edition because I gotta have my Disney pin. They're really prepping everybody for Kingdom Hearts 3, but they're also kind of teasing us like with the next release, which is Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Collector's Edition. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 2.8. These were some of the later games. Dream Drop Distance, which I mentioned earlier, was re-released as a console game on the PS4, along with a pseudo-demo of Kingdom Hearts 3 called 0.2, as well as a movie called Cross Back Cover. I love Kingdom Hearts games. But anyway, this was another re-release collection of games. They came with another pin, collectible Disney pin, and yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2.8. So, if you really wanted to get caught up on the series before Kingdom Hearts 3, you just needed to get this, the 1.5 plus 2.5, and this, Kingdom Hearts 2.8. Or you could just simply go on to Amazon.com or SquareEnix.com and order Kingdom Hearts The Story So Far. Not so much a collector's edition, but just an oddity I wanted to bring up. That is both these, 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8, all on one collection, 2 discs still, brought together. And this was released just prior to Kingdom Hearts 3. And yeah, they couldn't stop re-releasing this. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, they released a deluxe edition of that as well. Of course, in this nice big box on PS4 with another collectible Disney pin, if you could see that there. So what did this come with? This came with a few bells and whistles, so let's talk about this. So, of course, the game itself, it came with another lovely art book. which if you just want to see the cover, no spoilers, it's got that lovely picture of Sora sitting with the crown as a king. Came with a really nice steelbook, if you can see that, with all the logos of Kingdom Hearts on it, the Heartless symbol, the Nobody symbol, the organization symbol. Really love this. This is just beautiful. One of my more favorite boxes. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3. This also had there was another edition of this also released exclusively on the Square Enix website, where it came with figures of Sora, Donald, and Goofy in their Toy Story forms. I wasn't a big fan of the way it looked, plus it was exceedingly expensive, so I passed on that version of Kingdom Hearts 3 and just went with this deluxe edition. But if you think just because that was the last game released, we're done with Kingdom Hearts, you'd be wrong. After all that, if you didn't get Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, or 3, and you wanted to get them all at once, you could with the very recently released Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package. This is the whole shebang, as it says very proudly on the back, 10 titles all together. This is like 200 hours of gameplay and a couple hours of movie all put in together. This is a lovely little set. Really love it. And, oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. This wasn't the last title, because of course you got Memory of Melody back here. Yes, the recently released Kingdom Hearts rhythm game. I love this game. This is a huge game. Check it out. It is also canon, so you want to be completely caught up. There's a bit of extra story in there. So I want to talk about how much I love that they have Sora and his throne on this box and Kairi on her throne on this box. Just love that. Lines up. Black and white. Looking good. Kingdom Hearts. I don't care what people say. I love this series. The older I get, the less I care about how crazy it is. So, moving on to my rarest Kingdom Hearts game. This one was also a website exclusive, and many people don't know about this one. That is Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Remix on the PS3. This is similar to the game as I mentioned earlier, but like I said, you had to get this online. This is an official release, but not many people know about this one. So this came with a steelbook, just like the prior games, but that's not what's special about this one. This one came with this little guy who I'm still suffocating in plastic because I don't want him to get dirty. Came with a Heartless plushie. Yes, a 11-inch Heartless plushie. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't want to get dust on you. I want to keep you nice and fresh. I'm keeping you in the plastic. You want this Heartless plushie, you need this bad boy, but this is very expensive, very rare. This wasn't sold for a long time, and it wasn't advertised super well, but that is Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Super Limited Edition on PS3, and I think we're done with Kingdom Hearts. I mean, not as a series. Hopefully there's many more, but we're done with Kingdom Hearts as a series for now, and I bet there'll be a collector's edition in those future titles. Moving to another Square Enix property, a more recent one a little bit closer to Earth, but still pretty out there. We're talking about the Life is Strange Limited Edition. A lot of Life is Strange fans out there. This is a good game. So this was mostly a digital title, but if you went on to SquareEnix.com, their online store, they had a physical edition, and it was pretty nice. What did this come with? This came with the soundtrack and art book, as it was, and a lot of people really love the music to this game. Plus, it's nice to have it physical. This I believe, was the only way to get it physical, at least for a while. And I guess it did pretty well considering the sequels, but yes, you have a very nice looking CD there, kind of that homegrown backyard feel that Life is Strange is kind of known for. You got a same thing with the nice art book, and of course the game itself. So yeah, Life is Strange, little series that could really chug along. Second one did well. They had the recently announced third one. Check it out, Life is Strange. If you haven't given it a shot, it's a game with heart. Definitely a lot of heart, and that's important, so check that out. So moving on. Back to Final Fantasy, another game that not too many people have played, but it's a solid title, is the World of Final Fantasy. Yes, the cute chibi version that brings all the characters of Final Fantasy together in one wacky little world. There were a few editions of this. What you're seeing here is the limited edition that came with, an art book that doubles as the game case, as many of these do. Nice little limited edition, but yet again, I can't just have nice little limited editions. If there's a big bad boy version of these, I need to have it. So of course I went and got this magnificent bastard, the World of Final Fantasy Stupid Edition, Collector's Edition. These are very rare now, so I actually keep this sealed, but what this came with is a pop-up book and a mini Nendoroid figure of Cloud, Lightning, and Squall. These are pretty hard to come by. These sell for a lot on eBay. I believe they were $120 at launch. I'm glad I got both versions, so I can keep this one sealed. Maybe I'll pop it open later. I really like this game. Check it out. World of Final Fantasy. Good for beginners, too, and for young folk. Whew. And speaking of stories, we're talking about Octopath Traveler, the Wayfarers Edition. This is a very recent release. This is a pretty popular game on the Switch. 16-bit RPG-styled game that was recently released on Switch, I believe, back in 2018. And... 2019. They released this Wayfarer Edition that sold out very quickly. So what this is, and it's very nice, but you must forgive me as I open it very carefully. Where is that seal? There it is. Yeah. It comes with a pop-up book just like World of Final Fantasy, but I have this one open. So essentially, as you turn the pages, there are pop-up effects of stages throughout the world. It's really a nice effect. I don't open this much, so they're a little crunchy now, forgive me. But yeah, it's a nice like representation of what the game is. Of course, as we move back, there's also the game itself. There is, I don't want to lose that. There is a piece of gold from the game, like some of the currency. And this is actually heavy and weighty, like metal. Appreciate that. Of course, you get the limited soundtrack, which has about 15, 16 songs on it. Not much music, but it's a nice little bonus. And a cloth map, which I will not unfurl now because it'll be impossible to get back into the box if I do that. So, yes, that's Octopath Traveler. Great little game on the Switch. This one was pretty popular. I hope they do more games like this. I know that that like Triangle Project game just got announced. I haven't checked that out yet. I'm going to have to. But for the time being, Octopath, great JRPG on the Switch. I'm really running out of room over here. That's what I'm talking about. Square Enix is killing me. I'm buried in these things. You should see next to me. Anyway, moving on, sticking with Switch. This isn't so much a collector's edition as it is a limited edition. These are still available. Please snatch them up. There's only a limited print run of these. You can get these online. That is the Collection of Mana on the Switch. Yeah, so this was my introduction to the Mana series. It was something I was not familiar with. This is the Game Boy game Final Fantasy Adventure along with Secret of Mana and Trials of Mana in their original form. Trials of Mana was never brought over to the United States before this release, so this was pretty special. And like I said, I like physical editions of games. You can get this collection digitally, but you know, this is nice artwork. It's actually reversible artwork too, if you can see that. And, you know, I'm glad I did because this is a cute RPG series I'm looking forward to getting into more. That's the Collection of Mana series on the Switch. Woo! We are not even close to done yet, folks. This is a good one, isn't it? So, next we are looking at another SquareEnix.com exclusive. We are looking at Final Fantasy Dissidia NT on the PS4. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like this game. Dissidia 1 and 2 on the PSP are some of my favorites, and this was one of the biggest disappointments that I have played all generation. However, the collector's edition is pretty cool. So, what did it come with? It came with this game, with a steelbook case, and also there are different versions of the case. Like, there's some Final Fantasy characters on there, if you can see it, and like, depending on what you, like when you got it, it'll have different characters. I have Cloud and Terra from Final Fantasy 7 and 6 on there, respectively, so I'm happy. Those are my favorite. What else did it come with, though? Came with some bonus cards for a game I'll probably never play, but, you know, that's nice. Nice interior art. I just want to show this off of the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy 1. And speaking of which, this collector's edition also came with this bust that you've been looking at the whole time of the Warrior of Light. It's one of the main reasons I'm glad I got this. You don't see too much love for the Warrior of Light in other places. And that all came bundled, the gaming case, in this beautiful, big box right here. Dissidia NT. Got some nice work of Cloud and Noctis, kind of the poster boy and the modern hero from Final Fantasy at the time of the release. It comes... Love this too, by the way. Got a little Moogle on the flaps. I love hidden artwork like that. That's just, you know, nice little touch. They should have put those touches into the game itself, but hey, you know, that's neither here nor there. Move that for you. Really nice boxing job on this, as you can see. You got the silhouettes of all the characters in this purple and black box. Very stylish. Opens up sideways. Comes with another tin, another steelbook. So there's 2 steelbooks of this. There you go. There is the tin right there of the Warrior of Light, and on the back, Garland, the villain of Final Fantasy 1. And then, I want to show you this. This beautiful art book. I won't, well, there's no story spoilers in that, but the best piece of art is probably right on the cover of all the characters just lined up and looking. This is fantastic. Yet again, I'm not a huge fan of this game, but this was a nice collector's edition. I'm glad I picked it up just for that art book. Just for the statue of the Warrior of Light. Yet again, I don't know what happened with Final Fantasy NT. They had Team Ninja's real fighting game developers come on to make it, and it just lost all the soul of the PSP ones. I could not get into NT. Well, maybe you did. I'm sorry if I'm dunking on a game you like, but it wasn't for me. But yeah, that is the Final Fantasy NT, Dissidia NT Collector's Edition, Ultimate Collector's Edition. So that one you might still be able to get. Okay, sticking with Final Fantasy, we are looking at Final Fantasy XII, the limited steelbook edition of Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. So this was a launch edition of Final Fantasy XII, which is a great game. Not one of my favorite Final Fantasies, but still a great game, so I wanted to play the remake on this beautiful steel case. There was another collector's edition of this released on the Square Enix store that I did not acquire that came with chess pieces shaped like the judge characters from this game. It was $200. I'm not a big enough fan to want to get that, but I was a big enough fan to get this game with its amazing cover art. This version is much better than the base version. You should definitely check it out. Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, limited steelbook edition if you can. Okay. Now, yet again, the next release isn't exactly a special edition, but it is a limited edition physical release. This next game is mostly a digital edition that you can only get on the Square Enix store, and I believe at GameStop exclusively in the United States, and that is Secret of Mana. This was the Secret of Mana 3D remake that came out a few years back, and the only way to get it physical was either through the website or through GameStop, so I opted to pick it up. A lot of people are a little harsh on this one. It's not the prettiest game. There wasn't a huge amount of effort into the visuals, but it's still Secret of Mana. It's still a classic, so check it out. And also, yet again, another digital game that got a limited physical release through the Square Enix store, and that is Lost Sphere. This is, yet again, a callback to classic JRPGs, like a 2.5D style. Really good game, Lost Sphere. You can only get this online. It was not sold normally in stores. Good game. Check it out. Square Enix, please keep doing physical editions. I'm not ready for the all-digital future. Call me a dinosaur who's just getting dust collectors on his shelf, but I love physical games. And speaking of physical games, the next game we're going to be talking about is Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. So, if you don't know what Theater Rhythm is, these are some of the best games on the 3DS, at least for me. I love rhythm games. This is like my favorite rhythm game, or one of them. This is a game where you play through all the songs from the Final Fantasy series. There's like 200 on the cartridge and 100 DLC songs. Check it out. Awesome game. Came with this, there was a limited edition of it, which came with some nice stuff that I'll show you right now. So first and foremost, it came with a case for your 3DS, a nice case with chibi versions of all the Final Fantasy characters on it. Very cute, like that. It came with a best of Theater Rhythm music selection. We got some songs on there. And then it came with another little wooden box in there that contains the game, and like strangely a second CD with some more songs. Remixes they're called on this one, but I don't know why they just didn't add them together. They put them in two separate places in the same box, but hey, you know, Square got a Square, be a little extra. But that's Theater Rhythm on the 3DS. Theater Rhythm Curtain Call. That is the second release, which I fully suggest if you haven't played. They're also the creators of the Memory of Melody game for Kingdom Hearts, which is also great. I love rhythm games. And you know what? Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts have the best music, so please bring more. I want more. We'll put this over here. I'm out of space on my left. And now we are looking at a game that no one has played, probably even less than Final Fantasy Type 0, and that is Final Fantasy Explorers. Yes, I have this one sealed yet again because this is actually kind of rare. This was a SquareEnix.com exclusive. Came with the art book and soundtrack. What is Final Fantasy Explorers? This is Monster Hunter Light set in the Final Fantasy universe. Yes, you fight monsters and summons from the Final Fantasy version with your own created character and through online, which works strangely well. You could call in friends to help you in teams of 4. Your characters were completely customized. You defeated monsters. They could help you in battle. It was a cool little title that was completely overlooked in 2016. Check it out, Final Fantasy Explorers. But this edition might set you back, the collector's edition of Final Fantasy Explorers. Great box art, though, with artwork from Yoshitaka Amano on the back and front. Bet you didn't even know about this one. If you know what? If you've played this or Type 0, please leave a comment in the comment section below, because I just want to know about those games, like when you play them through them fully, if they're good or not, from people who've actually played them. Please let me know. Okay. Woo, that was a fun adventure. We are finally at our last game of the night, and that is the game starring the lovely lady that has been staring at you this whole time. That is 2B. You know where I'm going with this. And that is NieR Automata. That is how you say it. NieR Automata, the black box edition. This is infamous. This is infamous because it is expensive. This was released only on the Square Enix store for a very limited time, a few months before the game came out. This was pretty expensive at the time. I believe it was $190 to $200 at launch, but now it's going for over $400, close to $500, because no one knew this game would be so good. The first NieR is okay. It's not as good as this. I'm really looking forward to the remake of the first one coming out soon. But this disappeared, and once the game got popular, it became pretty sought after. So I'm going to very slowly remove this. This is a very tight package. Just to begin, before I even do that, yet again, it came with this lovely little miniature figure of 2B that's been staring at you this whole time. So that was a highlight, but it also came with this beautiful steelbook. Really love steelbooks, you know, can't beat them. Just really nice with some extra DLC that got released later, but that's what's inside. But let's get a good look at this, because like I said, this is probably the most sought after collector's edition that Square Enix has made in a long time. So I got to be pretty ginger with this, so please forgive me if this takes a second. Oh God, NieR. I think I got to replay this game now that I'm opening this. I'm remembering how much fun I had with it. Look at the Xbox version. It's a little bit more enhanced, but for the time being, we're looking at the beautiful black box edition. Look at that. Well, it's the titular black box, but when you open it up, you got a couple things. You have the box for 2B, which keep right there, and then you have this beautiful art book that on it warns you, like, there was a note that came with this that says like dangerous spoilers on the inside. Like it says it right on the, I'll just open the first page, no spoilers, but it actually says here, if you can see, like, spoiler alert, don't read this if you haven't played through the game, so I won't. But this is a really thick book. This feels like a Bible. And this beautiful set, NieR Automata, black box edition, came with the steelbook, the book itself, this art book, and the figure. Really glad I got this. You can't get these anymore unless you want to spend an arm and leg. But if you're a big enough NieR fan, if you're a big enough Square Enix fan, and you have that type of disposable income and you're able to get this, you won't be disappointed. This is a beautiful collector's piece. So let me just, as I wrap up, put that back on. So you gotta be very careful with this. You really do. Otherwise these little flaps get caught. Clean that. And that kind of does it for my collector's editions from Square Enix. Thank you. I'm out of breath. That is how many games I just had to move and shake. I'm buried in games to my left and right. You can't see it, but trust me, this is going to take me a while to clean up. But I don't mind, because I love these games. I love that Square Enix is just so extra with their titles. Square is not subtle. That is not who they are. They go big. Their games are big. Sometimes they miss, but when they hit and they leave an impact, not just in the gaming scene, but on people's lives. Some of these games are some of my favorite of all time. The Final Fantasies, the Kingdom Hearts. When I look at these, it makes me want to play. I hear songs like Air Themes or Dearly Beloved from Kingdom Hearts. So you know what? Yes, these are worth it to me. I'm fortunate enough that I was able to get these, and I love sharing my stories about these games with other people, like showing these collector's editions. I love meeting other fans. If you're a Square Enix fan and you want to tell a story about a collector's edition you have, or if any of these games if you love any of these games, leave a comment below. I would love to read that. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for going on this very long journey with me through my collector's editions. We're going to have more videos like this, of course. Please look for my videos where I talk about other Final Fantasy collector's editions that I'm sure are going to come out in the future, as well as my videos on Rare, Weird, Expensive, on other consoles that I mentioned prior. My name is Mike. This has been Chip Damage. Thank you for watching. Take care.